to the Colts as we watched them play last night, obviously, and we talked about their woes now. And this dislocated pinky, it's funny because it looks like it hurts, and it definitely is going to hurt. And it's probably not something that you or I could just come back in and be like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. But these finely tuned athletes, I feel like their bodies are a little more susceptible to bouncing back from injuries like that and being able to do it. So maybe we're not worried about the entirety of the QB battle as far as injuries concerned. But Munaf, you are concerned about the QB battle at large because Daniel Jones, I don't know that they brought him in to be the backup, or maybe they brought him in to be the guy to sort of push Richardson into being the starter that he should be.
Yeah, so we read it when training camp and practices started that it's a quarterback battle between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. And what you just mentioned, Rod, is it to push Anthony Richardson because he came in great shape. We just mentioned the injury at the top of the episode here. Doesn't seem like it'll be too significant. They do expect him back at practice on Saturday, so we'll keep an eye on that as we progress along here. I only wanted to mention the quarterback battle because when we talk about these other quarterbacks that have now found a home and got the quote unquote big contracts, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith. I feel like I'm missing one guy that was off of the dust. I wrote this down, but those three guys, I feel like, and I think and you quoted it perfectly. I think when I mentioned this to you on our first episode, you said now or never, right, for Daniel Jones. And if he's given the opportunity to be a starting quarterback for this Indianapolis Colts team, and if it doesn't go well for him, it just might be never for Daniel Jones there. So I've been mentioning you numerous times. I either made the greatest bet in the world or I made the dumbest bet on Daniel Jones to be comeback player of the year. So that's in my pocket. Now and then, I know it's a fantasy pod, but I'll mix in some a little bit of betting content there as well. So I've got that in my back pocket there at 15-1. So and I was look, it's we saw last season that it was 8 touchdowns and 12 interceptions for Anthony Richardson. Rob, but I'm more curious to see. I'm sounding a little biased toward Daniel Jones. I don't know why. I'm not a Giants fan, of course. Maybe it's just a rooting interest for him to follow the path of those guys that I just mentioned, the Genos, the Bakers, the Sam Darnolds of the world. But again, there's going to be questions that if Anthony Richardson is able to start the season and he's having a lot of mistakes with throwing interceptions. Yes, it doesn't get any better with Daniel Jones because of what has happened in his career, but he's also hasn't had the greatest offensive line there. So I think this is going to be a conversation between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones here.
Well, and the thing of it is, too, is when you look at these quarterback battles, especially in the preseason between a veteran and a younger quarterback, there's always that, when they sign the older quarterback to bring it in, a la Joe Flacco, a la all these guys that come in and they're, I don't want to say Daniel's in the latter half of his career. He's definitely not in the beginning of his career, but you just wonder. You're like, all right, well, they brought this veteran in. What are they going to do with him? Obviously, he's capable of being a starting quarterback. Obviously, he's done it before, and now we've got this young guy who's struggled some, and we need to kind of get him to be where he needs to be for us as a quarterback. But I could definitely see Anthony Richardson starting the season, but I could definitely see Anthony Richardson holding on to this position because he doesn't want to let Daniel Jones swoop in. How quick are they going to be to pull the trigger? I don't know. But as I'm drafting, I'm not drafting Daniel Jones because I don't fully believe that he is going to be an impact right off the bat. So I'm not drafting him, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on the waiver wire just if I start to see, at the very least, the Colts start to get an itchy trigger finger when it comes to Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, and I'm trying to pull up their schedule here to start the season, but let's just say they start 1-3, something along those lines, because their first 4 games this season will be hosting the Dolphins, hosting the Broncos, going to Tennessee, and then going to LA. So you could see a scenario where it could be 2-2, 1-3. It could be 0-4, and it's going to be on the back of Anthony Richardson to guide this team to winning and keeping that starting job there. So, yeah. So I think it's just still QB1. But again, when we talk about waiver wire, I think that's why I don't think Daniel Jones is going to get drafted unless you're a 2 quarterback league. But even then, he's probably going to be a waiver wire pickup here, Rod.